Welcome back to my channel. My name is Tiffany, as you know, and this is How to Get to Prison, my show where I like to invite different guests on that have been to prison so that they can give us the rundown, the story time on how they got there, just in hopes of you avoiding doing some of these things. Of course, unless you want to go to prison, that's up to you. Now, our guest today is an internet personality that I personally am a fan of. If you are not, if you've never heard of him, by the end of this interview, I assure you, you too will be a fan. So let me go ahead and bring up MC Shakie.
Hello, hello. Hey, what's
Hello.
going on, Miss Tiffany? How are you today?
I'm doing so good. How are you?
I'm great. So excited to be here. I think this is perfect because of your wonderful platform telling people how to get to prison. And I think I'm an expert because, unlike most people, I've actually been to prison twice. So I love it so much. I've been twice. And so I definitely know how to get to prison.
We love a two for one. We love a two for one.
Two for two for ones all day long.
Well, let's jump right into it. You said you've been to prison twice. So was it for the same thing both times or was it for something different?
They were both in the same scope of things, but by the first time I went to prison, it was for a income tax scheme that we did, and I had a lot of co-defendants. But the second time I went was a solitary thing I did, and it was for bank fraud. So it's in the scope of fraud and scamming and things like that that I did go to prison twice. So in a sense, the same thing, but two totally different actions.
Okay. Well, let's
Yep.
talk about it. Let's talk about the very first time. What
All right.
got you introduced? Was it a need? Was there some bills piling up? Did you just see something you thought, you know what, I could get away with that?
Okay. So I went to a Southern University here in Louisiana for college, and in college I was hanging around. I was the life of the party because I'm a personal person, and so all of my friends came from Los Angeles. They came from one from New York, upstate New York, one from Tampa, and they all pretty much had money, and they would have Southern University during the early 2000s was a fashion show, if anything. And so I'm from the projects in New Orleans, and so I don't, I ain't hip to none of this. But they like me around, so I'm around a lot of people with money, and so they instilled in me something like, God dang, I got to get some money some type of way. I went to school for business administration, and I earned a bachelor's degree, and I started working for a bank. And while I was working for the bank, what introduced me to crime was just basically trying to keep up with my friends that I got in college, just trying to keep up and trying to be uh, kind of equal with them. And so this got me to start taking money from the bank. So I actually ended up robbing the bank that I worked for blind. Of course, they ended up firing me, and they actually gave me my first conviction. But because it was a nonviolent charge, um, they uh, they just gave me probation. But the problem became that I could not get a job in the industry that I was educated. Like I'm educated in business, educated in the banking industry and finances and human resources management. So this deals with a lot of times people's information. And so they wouldn't trust me with that. And so I couldn't get a job in those fields. And so the only way I could support myself from henceforth was to do more fraud. And so this started my fraud career. And I dibble dabbled in a lot of different things. I was always a nerd. I never made a B in my life. I was always just that person that was kind of smart. And then I love technology. And so those things, accompanied by the desire, the will, the drive uh, to get money to just survive now, um, made a perfect almost recipe, a perfect disaster for somebody that wants to do fraud. And so and also too, in my lifestyle, I am in the LGBTQ plus community. This like it was two ways to get it. You either got it on your back or you got it on your feet. And on your feet, you usually doing fraud. And so I became what was called a stunt queen. And I just said, well, fuck it. If I can't, y'all don't want to let me work, y'all don't want to let me earn an honest living. I will, I will get it. I will get it how I know how. And so that led me into learning different avenues of fraud. So I was doing things like identity theft. I was doing things like credit card fraud before it was cute. I was doing check fraud. I was doing everything. And so the thing that led to my first incarceration, well, my first time actually physically with the cuffs on me in lockup and things like that, came when I started fucking with the IRS. Oh, can I say fucking? I mean, I don't know if y'all can curse on me. No, you can't say fucking.
Find out together. 'Cause,
If I can't say fucking, please edit that fucking out. I sometimes curse like a Hebrew sailor, but I'm gonna try not to fucking curse on your fucking platform. But Edit that out if you guys. But um, but no, okay, so yeah, I couldn't do that. I couldn't do nothing but fraud. I couldn't do nothing but scam. I couldn't do nothing but try to get it. And so being a smart person and being somebody who is, but also had a desire to, I had a necessity to do some type of scamming. But but I also thought that I'm not going to scam lightly. If I'm going to scam, I'm going to scam. I'm going to really scam. I was an ethical scammer though. I will say that. It does not make it right because I'm still stealing somebody's money. I try not to mess over our people, so I never scam anybody black. I never scam a black business. I will always do old white people, corporations, doctors, and then obviously the government who've been scamming us for 400 years. No shade. And so, but that also turned out to be a very bad mistake when you scam the government because they do not like it at all. So I'm very known in my community because I also am a musician in New Orleans bounce music, and so everybody knows me. But and also too, everybody kind of knew I was scamming because I would never work, but I would keep a Benz, a cute boy. I would keep like you know what I'm saying. I keep these, the designer clothes and these nice things. You would never catch me in nothing. Like you'll see me in the newest stuff all the time, anything, and I just always had a lot of people and money around me. And so they knew I was scamming. And so one time, an older lady actually had came to me and said, "Listen, I got a ream of fast tag checks." I'm like, "A ream of fast tag checks?" And if you don't know what a ream is 500. So apparently, she had ripped off the fast tax place. This is in 2007 or eight. No, this is 2008. Actually, I'm sorry. So she had ripped off a whole ream, which is 500 sheets. This is a ream.
Before you get
Hold
into
on.
the story,
Go
if
ahead.
2007 or 2008, about when do you think you started getting into fraud to the point where now you feel like you might be, a professional or everybody know you doing, or you just having your way with all your money?
Oh, I started it, like I told you, in 2004 when I graduated college.
Okay, okay.
And so
Three.
Hurricane Katrina happened, and then so I had several IDs at the time, several identities, and I was getting them all FEMA checks and everything. So I was scamming all through Hurricane Katrina. It was just so much it was so much that was going on that they really didn't catch up with me for none of that. And so coming back to New Orleans in 2006, it just was scamming. And then 2007 it was, but I would always like try to switch my scam up. So if everybody was on check fraud, I'll be on credit card fraud. If they turn the credit card fraud, I'll go back to check fraud. If they was doing identity theft, I was gonna be on, you know what I'm saying? I was on different stuff. So I never wanted to be what everybody else was on. I would keep so because a lot of times scamming is networking, and I was able to network so good, I was able to understand who was on what. And so in the world of New Orleans, not a big city, where everybody know who the scammers are, and we all know each other. We work together, we work apart, we work independently, and we had this network, and we would network a lot with the girls in Houston and the girls in Atlanta. And so, because we were kind of in the middle of both of them, so a lot of times we'd be getting work from the girls in Atlanta and giving it to girls in Houston, and vice versa, and a lot of that too. So me being in the middle, being so popular, and it kind of like a lot of stuff just fell into my hands a lot of times. Um, I ended up with one of the connects I ended up with was a Korean dude, and he changed my game. I was the first person I bought. I had a credit card machine that could print credit cards. I bought an ID maker from him. I mean, he was able to get his hands on any and everything that I wanted to do. So I was able to kind of just position myself to not do to just be able to facilitate it, because what I didn't do actually was be the one to go do the stuff. I would be the one that's kind of like in the middle. I became, you never caught me in a store on checks. You would caught me printing the checks for the people to go in the stores. You never caught me swiping the cards, but what you caught was me giving the people a fake ID and the cards to go swipe. You know what I'm saying? You never caught me running into the bank. You caught me sending people into the bank for bank drops that I was doing. So a lot of this came from just being a lot of things just happen to be in the right place at the right time and being the right person. And so my knowledge base and my network came from being a nerd, and people always need stuff. So if you needed a document done or you needed a fake ID or something, and my computer savvy has always kept me in business. So I literally made a career and excelled at my career in fraud. like literally without question. And so I took to it. I had an office, a desk, and I would go to it and I would say, well, what do I have to do today? They have a to-do list, 4 IDs, 4 cards, 4 checks, 4 whatever, and I would get it done and then get my money on the back end.
So with you saying you people in the game, in the fraud game, usually work with people in Atlanta or in Houston, even you had, like your Korean Connect, how it seems like there's a lot of trust that goes into it. And I know that usually in a lot of crimes, they say, what's the saying? There's no, what is it? Friends among thieves or something like that. So
Right.
how do you find people that you can trust and people that, I guess you feel like aren't gonna, do anything shady?
So nowadays it's trust no one. You can't trust nobody. But back in the gap, there was honor among thieves. And also too, because in that game, people had enough money to do you something if they needed to. You feel what I'm saying? Like if I want to, like, especially coming from a place like New Orleans where a body ain't nothing but $2,000, $3,000. And it's like if I could do a scam and hit 20,000 in 10 minutes. So what's the point? Don't play with me. Like I'm not to be played with. I would these racks to get you touched. And so even with my career connect, like I feared him because he had so much money at his disposal. I know if he wanted something to happen to me, it could happen. But back in the gap, it was a little bit more honor among thieves than it is today. Right now, of course, it's trust no one, don't do nothing. Like, but even with the Korean Connect, he had a pager back then. I don't know if you remember having pages. You couldn't even call him. He had no cell phone, nothing. He had a pager in 2007. It's like, damn. And so you had to really page him and he would call you back. And then this is how you, from a satellite phone, some damn way. So there was always precautions. I mean, we were on VPNs before VPNs was hot. We were on a lot of things that masked our identity, and we were on never put nothing our real names, no cars, no nothing. We knew how to live as ghosts, and so that's how I was able to do it for so many years without actually getting in any major trouble, right? Because I followed the rules. I would change my identity. I would have this. I would have a Beamer tomorrow and a Benz the next day. And then if that got too hot, I'd burn it up. I'd take it to the river and burn it up. And I'm in the Lexus tomorrow. I'm in different. And in somebody else's name. And then I got IDs in a whole other name. And the place that I'm living and the name I hate is in a whole other name. I mean, and so it's like it's very hard to it's hard for people to get a hold of you. I'm changing phones like I'm changing drawers. Back then, you didn't have smartphones for real. I mean, the closest thing we had was Nextels and Sprint phones. And so this was not. We ain't had the iPhone was just coming out, and I didn't trust that at all. So we was on that type of stuff. And so back in the gap, you could have a certain amount, a certain degree of trust as far as like with that, because that game. Not saying it wasn't rats and people telling on you, because there was, and there always has been. But you kind of knew how to weed them people out as well. Being in a fraud game, you got access. You know how to pull people's information, so you can see if they in trouble with the law, if they had trouble with the law, and before you start really fucking with them, you could actually do your homework for real, and that's not hard for somebody who does wrong. Yeah.
So the lady in what you said was 2007, 2008. How did you? That was just a friend you already knew, or somebody that you knew through somebody?
No, it was a girl in the hood, and she had a ream. This was a ream of white paper. This is not a ream of checks, but this is a ream is. And so she had a ream of blank fast checks, which is 500 checks. And so I was doing the math, and I'm like, wait, the math is mathing right here, because I mean, an income tax check could be anywhere between $5,000 and $10,000 for real. You feel me? It can vary. Now I have 500 of them, and so if you do 500 times 10,000, that's a lot of motherfucking money. I was like, and it's cash money because I'm going to cash the checks. And so I'm like, this is the fucking lick for real. And so I stopped everything else I was doing, and I called there's a girl that I trust. I'm gonna keep her name out of it, but there's a girl that I trust so much, and she's such a real one. I said, go find some girls because I need to do a check cashing team because we about to cash these fast tax income tax checks. So she finds the girls. I make them all fake IDs and I send them on their way. And I'm sitting down just watching the money come in, watching the money come in, watching the money come in. I'm just saying. So my first, so like I don't know if you like. So my first, so okay, so I'm getting half of everything come in, and so if I had 11 people on the indictment with me, so that means outside of me and her, so there was 10 people cashing checks, going around cashing checks. And they wasn't just cashing one check; they was cashing two, three, four, five checks. And so, my actual loss that they had on that, I ended up having to pay restitution in the amount of $500,000. $562,000 exactly is the amount. So that means that the actual loss was about $1 million. So we made $1 million cash and checks. So all the girls was from the hood. So I put about $500,000 from them on the hood. All of them had new cars. All of them had new things. All of them had new everything, new diamond rings. And I'm the one I'm collecting the other half of the money. So that's a little bit more than $1.1 million was the ticket on that. But I had my site. Go
Were
ahead.
y'all going after the maximum that you could go after? Did y'all have rules like don't go above this amount on a check, or what was how did you do that?
So how I operated, I was printing the checks, and I want as long as they were comfortable, I was going to about $10,000 a check. As long as they were comfortable with that. Some of them weren't and would rather do like 5,000, whatever the case may be, and I'll print those for them too because it's just a free $2,500 coming to me. But I'm trying to make $5,000 a check, right? I'm trying to make $5,000 a check. So every 10 checks is 50,000, but every 100 checks is a half. I'm looking at that. So I'm that's my goal. For the most part, I succeeded. But I had so much cash on me, more cash than I've ever seen in my life because they're going cash and it's coming back with cash. And so, I give them one check and one check only, but to get another check, they had to come back to me with the money. So
Um,
they could goop me one time. That's it. And it what it is. I ain't tripping. I ain't tripping. But if you want another one, because so you're gonna get in, you're gonna see it's so easy. You gotta walk in and walk out. It takes 10 minutes. It's an income tax check, so anybody will cash it, especially during those times. It's actually a real check, so you can slide it through the machine or anything, and it's gonna work. And so whatever happens, so they were loving it. And so I had a lot of the girls that were working, they were coming back quick. They was like boom, they'll come back, boom, come back, boom, come back. And so we took New Orleans out the frame. So I tell my second in command, I tell her, listen, we are going to take this show on the road because what I looked at, if we cashed 100 checks in New Orleans, made $1 million, Houston is 4 times big as New Orleans. Now we had connects in Houston because of Hurricane Katrina. Some girls that were out there already from New Orleans, and I say 4 times. So I'm looking at it like this: 4 times a $500,000 is $2 million, and I like that number. So it means I should be able to pocket a couple $1 million. And then I'm also thinking too, in Houston, I might be able to increase the size of the check to maybe about 15, 20,000. Who knows? Let's see
well,
if we can go
before
out
we
there.
get to Houston, let me ask this: before we get to Houston, what did you do with all this money that you had coming in? I mean, were you just putting it under the mattress? You had, spending it. What you was doing, Shaky?
I was spending it, taking care of my people, partying like a rock star. I have 2 kids, and so I did take care. I did went and go bless my baby mamas to make sure, in case anything happens to me, make sure that my kids were okay. And so I definitely took care. But I partied like a rock star. Made sure the hood was happy. I was doing DJs and parties all the time. I was taking a lot of vacations and stuff. I went out the country. There was so much I was doing. I was just doing a lot. It was just I had a blast and a ball. You're right. And then on top of that, I was still doing on the side for things that I wanted on the side as far as clothes and food, stuff like that. I was still scamming on the other side. So at the end of the day, it was like I was just having a 24-hour party. I woke up every day to be who I was. It was so exciting during the time. I lived that time, not realizing that everybody was about to be very mad at me. So this is
Well,
how I
one
go
more thing.
ahead.
Now,
Go ahead.
when I watch the crime movies and whatnot, when they start getting all this money in, one rule that they have usually is not to start showing too much money too soon. So, is it because you was giving out so much money that you felt like you didn't have to worry about that, or was that something that ever crossed your mind?
And so at the time I'm in my 20s, uh, I'm enjoying the fame, the notoriety. I've always been a nerd. I've never been, just the popular person. So from a psychological standpoint, I was so in demand as who I was that I was like, I didn't even care to be honest with you. So I didn't even think twice about how it looked or anything. Like the hood loved me. I could walk down the street and everybody loved me because I done bailed people out of jail. I paid light bills. I took care of the grandmas, the aunties. I mean, I'm printing money like for real, basically. So at the end of the day, I took care of my people. Nobody could tell me that Shake said the whole. I could to Elm Street today in New Orleans. If you go down this motherfucker and you say something about Shaking, you might not leave that bitch. And that's just, I mean, because into this day, they remember those times that I made sure the whole entire hood was strict. And so this is what I didn't care. So I knew I felt I was good. I was wrong, obviously, but yeah, I felt I was good.
Okay.
So yeah. Um, so I told my second in command, I said, listen, we're gonna make this technical. We're gonna do this like a business. I'm not bringing all the girls out there because I basically got to pay for them to come out there. What I'm gonna do though is bring the top five, the girls that wasn't scared, never
So
scared, nothing less.
you wait. Now you had the money to take all them girls out there. You didn't want to spend
Nah,
it.
no. I was looking at it from a business perspective, and so the girls that was just cashing one or two checks for a couple $1,000s here and there, y'all is in the way. I want
Okay.
my heavy hitters, the girls that going that call 4 5 times a day because they done pop three or four, and they're ready for their next one, and they ain't going to sleep till the banks close. You know what I'm saying? That's who I want to come out there to Houston because I'm trying to do this as economically as possible, and I'm renting cars, I'm renting things, like I'm doing a lot. I rented a luxury. I've sent money out there to rent a luxury condo and all this stuff like that on a corporate. Like I really was like doing, like I wanted it to be. It was efficiency that I was looking for, not necessarily number, right? So I quote unquote fired five girls and brought the same five out there. That I wanted. I intended to do this because I didn't even haven't done it yet, but I was setting it up to do. And so I gave the girls the ones that would let go. I gave them a free check and said, "Here, that's yours. Do whatever you want, do with it." And so one girl who had only probably cashed two checks, she goes to a place that she went before to cash our first one, which is a big no-no. Lightning don't strike twice in the same place, neither should we. And so that's a big no-no. Once a place has been popped by you, you got to go to a whole different place. But she goes to this place that she has went before, and they come straight to out the thing to her and say, "Come here." They call. Apparently, this has been looked at by the feds, trying to figure it out for a while, and they brought her to jail. And I get a word from my second in command that let's just call her person A was in jail. So I was in the country at the time by my mom, and it was I said, "Don't trip. I'm coming buying her out. Don't do no tripping. I'm gonna come buying her out. What's up, buying?" And so my second in command give me the information, and I leave the country, and it took me about an hour to get to the city of New Orleans. By the time I get down there, I go to the bondsman I'm cool with, give him the money, and he calls me back when I'm on the road on the way back where I was going, and says, "Come back and get your money because she's no longer in jail." I'm like, okay, okay. So I go back and get my money. And then the next day I didn't find her, but the day after that, we find her. And so we asked her, "Did they ask you anything?" She said, "Yeah, they asked me stuff, but I never said nothing." I said, "Well, I was coming to get you out of jail." I said, "And the worst they could ever do is put you on probation." I'm asking how you got out of I asked her how she got out of jail, and she said on her own recognizance, which it makes sense. All you doing is trying to pass a high check. You know what I'm saying? In New Orleans, you're a female, non-violent crime, non-drug related. They'll let you out. You ain't got no record. They ain't letting you out. And so they're not gonna keep you in jail. They're gonna let you out. So that made sense to me. And I was comfortable with that. And then so I went on still planning and plotting until so I rented this apartment complex. I rented all. It was a fourplex on this street, but I rented all four of them. I rented every last one of them, right? And so I kept my computer. So what I was doing was this. I rented A, B, C, and D. The computers might have been in C, but the internet was in D. And this was like, you know what I'm saying, to try to throw it off. But next door was some girls that I would always pay to just sit out. They sit on the stoop anyway, and I just pay them to just pay attention if anybody came over. And so one of them called me one day and was like, "Girl, the feds, the police came and raided every last one of them apart. Took everything out the bitch." I'm like, damn. And that's when I find out that these people have a. So I call my attorney that I had on deck, and he informs me that the feds are in fact looking for me. The girl actually did come to find. So at that time, I'm like, "Well, catch me if you can, motherfucker." And so I go on the run. All the stuff that I had set up in Houston for the girls, I went out there my damn self and just kind of took advantage of it until I could get myself on some footing. And I stayed on the run for several months. It was very hard for them to catch me because I'm changing names, changing everything, like I'm changing all day. But and I'm staying away from New Orleans. They ended up arresting all my girls though, and I was standing by money, buying them all out. And this one girl, so come to find out, that it come through the grapevine that they told the girl, "Yeah, we gonna get you 99 years. We don't know who you got, you know who you got it from." Even though there was no way possible they could give her 99 years, but I guess that would scare anybody. But she sure said Shaky, and this where he be at, this where we, what I'm saying, and she told him everything. And so, with that being said, I stayed on the run the longest. Um, the part, so then how I got caught that time was the dumbest thing in the world. They had been looking for me since tax time, and it was November 19th. And my sister stays in Baton Rouge, and I'm by her house. And so where she go get her hair do at is a girl from New Orleans that does her hair. And so she had a flyer
Well, why
for
did you go back to Louisiana? Why didn't you stay in Houston?
I didn't even I was moving around so much. I went from Houston, I went to Memphis, I went to DC. Like I was moving around, I was maneuvering. Like I even wound up in Detroit one time, just because one of my girls out there, we went to hit a liquor too out there, so I was still scamming the whole time too. And so, why did I go back to Louisiana? Because after all the months, I say them bitches ain't even looking for me anymore.
Mm.
Even though they had put me on a wheel of justice and everything, that was where you spin the wheel and land on like I was a killer or somebody. They was looking for me hard. I don't know why. But I went back to Louisiana,
Okay.
go by my sister's house, right? Um, and she had a flyer for a club, and I said, man, I ain't felt the beat. I hadn't felt a good beat in a long time. They had a New Orleans night at the club called Candy's. And I said, girl, I'm going there. And she told me, she said, you bitch, you gonna sit your stupid ass down. And I'm like, girl, I'm going to feel me a little beat, get me a little drink, and then I'm going to be gone. Because I was actually on my way to Arizona to go do another little lick, right? So I went to the club that night. And the MC in the club, all right, it was like, oh, all right, MC Shake in the building. We ain't seen you in a long time. I'm like, girl, don't get on that mic and say that no more. But nonetheless, I give me a little drink, not thinking nothing of it. And all I'm hearing as I'm in the club, getting my little drink, talking my little shit with a couple people I ain't seen in a long time, was somebody on the say, oh, look, the sheriff's in here. And sure as shit think, Buku police came in the club. Apparently there was a reward for me, which was nothing but $500, which I'd get a motherfucker $500. But they went up for $500 and turned me in to Crime Stoppers. The Crime Stoppers called Baton Rouge Sheriff, and I was arrested that night. And uh, yep, and went to prison for 9 years and 1 month. I ended up getting 120 months.
You already stated that you had your attorney or whatever. What made you go ahead and what's the word, retain? So what made you retain an attorney before any of that even happened? Did you know this was coming eventually?
Right. So the attorney I had was an Italian, and so by scamming, I kept an attorney on retainer anyway, just in case. Like that was just something that was a bill I paid. And so he told me not to run. He told me, man, just we can go change yourself in. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna come, and I never went. But I kept on. So I'm not going to do nothing. You got me fucked up. You got to catch me. I turned myself in the second time, but I ain't the first time. I ain't doing it. But y'all got to catch me. And especially I'm young and I'm scamming too. Uh, I think I could have a little run. But yeah, but in that business, when you're in that business and you ain't putting no money on the side for your lawyer, and you ain't paying that retainer and whatnot, you can't tell your lawyer you about to go commit crimes, but you have him on retainer. You have to have a criminal defense attorney on a retainer in case at all times because it just makes sense. And they got to be paid, and you got to pay them what they be needing because at the end of the day, it's nothing like that because nothing especially if you're doing scamming because the federal government don't play. I would never go to no court with no public defender. That's just not me. I can't do it. Won't do it. I'm not doing it.
And is that the first person you called once you got locked up?
The first person I called was my mom.
Okay.
And then she called my sister on three, and my sister's like, "Oh, bitch, I told your stupid ass not to go." I'm like, "Girl, Tip, I don't need to hear that right now." And so it was at night, and then the next morning, my lawyer actually had found out my sister called, and he actually came see me. And yeah, so I should have just stayed out of Louisiana, like you said. I should have never. Basically.
It's okay. It's okay. So then
Yeah.
you do your 9 years, you get out,
Yes.
and then now I hear that when some people go to prison, it's like they find out or they think they find out better ways to commit their crimes. Or do you feel like is that something you was thinking or
Well, in prison, you're around criminals. You're not around upstanding individuals, which is the dumbest thing ever. So I'm around, and then so eventually I go from the state to the feds, and so in the feds is nothing but people in there getting money. There is it's not too many like in the state. I found a lot of like killers and all these other type of things, but like violent type stuff, drug dealers, and like low level drug dealers. But when you're in the feds, you meet the high level drug dealers. You meet the the real scammers, the corporate scammers, and these types of people like that. You meet people that was touching million or better. You're not meeting those people that was just touching that did some little light credit card fraud. You meet motherfuckers that was frauding credit card, that was frauding Visa and Mastercard. That's who you meet then. And so it did definitely open my eyes to a lot of different things. Number one lesson I learned was not to do no crime with nobody. Like that's one thing. Like like you could see from the first time, the second time, because this time I ain't do it with nobody. I'm the only person on my case. So because I didn't, so now I don't have nobody that could rat on me or anything like that. But you learn in the phase, you definitely learn how to hone your criminality because you're around criminals and you're around people that think about and talk about and money all day. So you ain't got nothing to think about and talk about but money and more crime and how to do it better and how to do it bigger.
okay. So what once you got out, you felt like, okay, been there, done that. Again, I'm gonna ask the same question. Was there a need? Did somebody present an opportunity to you?
Mhm.
What I mean,
And
what
that's a great question. So this time it was most certainly a need. Uh, I ended up coming home and I ended up trying to run before I walked and found myself sleeping in a car, sleeping on a park bench. And it was like, I know how to do, and I was working a job and it was like, I know how to print better checks than the ones I'm getting. And so it just became an opportunity came and fell in my hand to commit some bank fraud. And I took it. And so the second time was based on a need.
okay, yeah. It's
I,
out.
I was coming out of prison, the job getting minimum wage. They taking 25% for taxes, 25% for the restitution I owed that I'll never pay it back. And, it was just like, I had choices, obviously. I could have just, but sleeping on the park bench in City Park or sleeping or being big as I am, sleeping in the back of a old school Dodge Chrysler 300, fucking up your back would change your mind about stuff. And it changed my mind. I was like, fuck that. I'm not gonna be sitting here broke. It's just I don't know how to do that. And so
It was
um
your
I,
internet thing, your six T and all of that, because that's actually how I found you. None of that
okay.
stuff was I guess wasn't paying the bills.
I got on December 2017. I actually committed the crime I'm talking about in March of 2018, so about 3 months later.
Oh,
Um
okay.
and I didn't become MC Shaky until later that year. In the capacity you know me, I didn't become MC Shaky until later that year in 2018, and I really popped off for real in 2019. The pandemic in 2020 helped because everybody was now on the internet, and so that grew. Um, yeah, we had nothing to do, and so I grew internet wise between 18, 19, and 20 when I had already committed the crime,
Okay.
right? So I already committed the crime. I already committed the crime and then went to jail and bonded out. Committed the crime in March of 2018.
Okay.
Um, the state decided not to pick it up. The feds ended up picking it up in 2020. But the pandemic kept me out of prison until 2022 because it was a non-violent, non-drug related crime. And so
Okay.
I got indicted in 2021. And it just I wasn't there was the pandemic was raging, and 21, and so they didn't know how to really deal with it. And so they didn't. I didn't go to court and everything and all that was till 22, even though I had committed a crime in 2018.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. I got you.
Mm-hmm.
That confused me a
Yes,
little bit. Okay, so
yeah.
you're out sleeping in cars, sleeping on park benches. You thinking, you know what? I'm better than this, or at least I got a crime that's better than this.
Okay. Necessity is the mother of invention, and so I invented the opportunity. Hey, let me get myself together, and that's what I did.
So
Yeah.
I mean, not you don't have obviously you don't have to give any details that you don't want to, but because you didn't work with anybody the second time, what did you already have some tools that you could work with? How did you get anything? How did you start back
Right.
up?
So I was on my car had broke down, and so I was on the bus. I rode the bus with a dude I was working with, and he had a whole culinary degree. He was a chef, a real life chef, but he was working where I worked at, get paid the same I got paid because we were convicted felons, and so this is the only job we could get. And so he had a culinary degree working in a restaurant, and I had a degree in business administration working at a restaurant, get paid minimum wage. And the woman, when she found out I knew how to do like books and numbers and stuff like that, she had me doing the payroll. She had me doing the account reconciliation. She had me doing all this stuff. So she had me doing accountant level work that she would pay a CPA $30, $40 an hour to do. And you pay me minimum wage as a server or whatever. And so me and him was just sitting on the bus one day, just talking about how the fuck these people fucking over us. We're skilled. We come to work. We do what we have to do. And these checks did $200, $190 because they're taking all our money for restitution and like we not seeing nothing slaving. I'm like, and that just kind of told me this bitch is tripping. I'm not gonna keep doing it. And so she one day she come in and she was like, "Oh, Roussel, my name is Rodney. My real name is Rodney." So she's like, "Oh, Roussel, could you help me?" And it was not even some stuff for the business. It was some personal shit she wanted me to do for her financially and fix for her. And I'm like, girl, you know what? So I took that. So next time she had me do the payroll, I took all the information from the account and proceeded to start wearing them things. I didn't give a fuck. I quit and then proceeded to start wearing them things. Um, and that came from that day on the bus. So it was like opportunity and whatnot. But I'm such a real motherfucker that the dude, I swear, this is what people, he's still fucking me to this day. The chef I'm talking about, I actually gave him $5,000. Here, start your shit if you could with that. That should start you off. And he have like a little small little shack, a little small little like a little breakfast shack that he have. He actually have that down here now. And part of that came from like I could go there and eat right now. He's been trying to pay me a couple dollars back. When I came home, he blessed me, and so I shout out to him. But I could go in his little breakfast and just get everything I want for free because he fucking me like that. But yeah, I did the time for it. So
Okay. So you just
yeah,
started to now. Did you need to print anything? Was it moving on to credit? Well, I know you had already dibbled and dabbled in credit cards and checks and all the things, but did you
right.
need credit cards? Did you need to order some or?
Mm-mm. I was using that to do bank drops, but it was a IRS, it was a FBI agent that. So this is what happened, right? Though obviously they got a couple $100,000 missing from their bank account, and so they call the bank, "Hey, I ain't authorized none of these charges, blah blah, such as none of these wires and nothing like that." And so then the bank repays them their money because every bank pretty much has 0% fraud liability. They replace their money, but now the victim now is Chase Bank, and so Chase Bank is very mad, and so they've been putting pressure on the federal government to find out who this was, whatever, whatever. And it was an FBI agent. I was actually his second case, and he took back. And I thought I was being smart because I was wiring money here, wiring money. Like I was doing a lot of different things before it ended up in a place that I could actually exit it. And one stupid mistake. I thought I was being smart, but there was one stupid mistake to where it exited to a place that was tied to my actual credit card. And so, God, like just the one little slip up. But even after all the layers of maneuvering I done, he stood down there and it took him like a year and figured it out and put it together and made a compelling case. And so I had no choice but to plead guilty in that case. So, yeah.
Now, when you accidentally did whatever you did that ended up coming back or tying into your credit card, was that just like a? I know you said it was a mistake. Was it a moving too fast? Was it a okay? I've been doing this enough. One little time ain't gonna hurt. Or
No, 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 no. So, okay, all right. Let me backtrack a little bit here because there's another component to this. Uh, that was the mistake that I made that basically put me in that. That meant I had to plead guilty because I had that one little exit strategy.
okay,
That one little exit strategy. That is not how I got caught. That's
oh,
just why I had to plead guilty
oh,
because if they dig deeper, I'm effed.
okay,
But this is how I got caught now. All right. So there's a guy that in my city that I viewed as brother. So much so that we just slept in the same bed together head to foot. And uh I don't know how much time we got. So I don't want to make the story so long. But my boyfriend had busted all the windows out of my car. So I went to go buy another car. I'm
okay,
scamming at the time, so it don't matter. And so me and him got back together. And so as I bought another car, I was end up working on buying my boyfriend a car as well. But this dude who I called brother needed something. And I told him, I didn't tell him no. All I told him was not right now. And he said, not right now. I said, yeah, because I'm trying to do something for who at the time was my boyfriend. And so he was on that synthetic marijuana real, real bad. His old lady had put him out, and it was a lot of stuff going on. I mean, it was just so much going on. And I'm trying to be family to him. I'm trying to still deal with the relationship issue that I had, and I'm trying to, I'm trying to scam at the same time. So it was a lot on my plate. But I told him not right now. And then not right now, he told me something that kind of hurt me. He was like, well, if I was that nigga, you would do it. Like, I'm like, well, that nigga fuck. So I'm saying something smart. Well, the nigga fucking me. That's the difference. I said, when you've been over, then I, the fuck. So, uh, anyway, that rubbed him the wrong way after he rubbed me the wrong way. And we stopped talking. So he knew where I kept. So I had this one spot that I kept a computer. Um, and that I would do. I would never keep it in a place that I lay my head. I would never keep a computer I do scamming on. If you see me with a computer and nothing on that bitch, you can come do that bitch back and forth. Ain't nothing on there but some music or whatever I'm doing. But the computer I do my scamming on, was when I was doing my scamming on, I kept it in a different spot. And because he was my brother and had came with me one time, he knew the spot. And so he breaks into the spot, steals the computer, and then tells me, give him $5,000 for the computer. And so I told him, I said, I will put that $5,000 on your head before I pay any draft to you for a computer. I'll put that on your head. I mean, I know, I tell him that. So he gets scared because he knew I got $5,000. He gets very scared. And he goes to the police because he wants protection from me. The police ask him for what? And so he turns in the computer. Now, my argument was the computer was got, yeah, right. And so my argument in court for my lawyer was the computer was got by theft,
right,
right? So this is like, so I should not have to nothing on the computer. And that's kind of how I got out the state anyway, because the state had arrested me first. But the feds, based on the information, right? And so the feds used some kind of weird stuff where it was like, uh, because I threatened them and they have proof of that in the text message because I did say I put that 5,000 on your head. I texted them back. So I did do that. And based on the fact that they did their own investigation with the thing, it was like you gonna take. So my lawyer's like, look, you can roll your dice, you can go to trial, but he gonna come to trial and say you threatened him and all kind of stuff like that, and just whatever. And uh, or you could just take this one thing because they only charged me. I only had one count bill of information, even though there was other stuff on the computer because I was doing a few other things. I was eating, and just take this one thing, and we're gonna roll with it, or you could go to trial, and then you're gonna be facing 30 years. So I was like, well, it's just the agent had clocked it right. I'm talking about right down. He knew every transaction, everything, and so it made more sense for me to just say, you know what, I'll plead guilty because I wasn't going to be. I don't think I didn't because of how he got a hold of it. I didn't think I was going to be found guilty anyway. But I said, you know what? This I ain't gonna take a chance with the federal government. What I'm gonna do is just go ahead and eat this one and learn this valuable lesson that I don't need to do fraud no more.
Mm.
And there was a couple other caveats to that because obviously I was given time to turn myself in. I didn't go directly to jail after my conviction. I went. They give me 30 days or so to get my affairs and all that whatnot. And I got a chance to say bye to my family. And that's when you see me on live turning myself in to the federal government.
And so he didn't get in trouble for breaking in your house and stealing your computer. He can just do that.
So it wasn't my house. It was a place that it was a place that place wasn't even my name. It was
Uh,
just a it was so it was so he didn't yeah no he didn't get in trouble. He became an unindicted co-conspirator. So basically he was under the protection of the federal government, basically confidential, basically confidential. He had agreed to come to court and testify on it.
and did you use the same attorney you had the first time? You kept him on.
Actually, actually, I did. I've been paying that motherfucker.
You know,
I'm not gonna trip. This he did better this time than he did last time. Even though I got more time than what the guidelines were saying, I got an upward variance on the 70 months because I took programs. I'm qualified for the First Step Act. I took RDAP. I ended up doing only 3 years and 3 months or 39 months. So
okay. And do you have to? Is it like a probation thing or parole or something like that?
I'm going to be on federal supervised release until December of 2030.
Okay. 23rd. Okay.
5 years.
That's
Yeah,
coming
five.
around. It's not that
Yeah.
long.
Oh, I ain't tripping. I don't do no drugs, so I ain't tripping about that. I drink from time to time, and that's the main thing it is. And I'm never commit another crime again, so that shit over with. So they're not gonna have a problem about me. I'm gonna do that with my eyes closed.
And what about some of those people that might have told on you, or some of the people you was working with? You still see some of those people?
Of course, New Orleans is a small city. I see them all the time. The girl, though, the initial girl that told me the very first time, I have not seen her since I've been since them times. It's the last time I saw her. She moved away somewhere and basically staying on the radar. Everybody in the hood knows she ratted, and they was. I mean, it probably wasn't safe for her in the hood, so she moved away.
You move away, honey. I bet she did move away.
Yeah. So
Well, and so that is how you got to prison.
both times. Yes. Yep.
Okay, okay. Well, thank you so much for coming on, giving us that story time, that rundown. It was very good.
Thank you so much. I had so much fun. I do see your channel growing and blowing up because you really kind of just let us just do our thing. And that's rare because a lot of times the interviews are all, and I'm guilty of that because I know how I interview too, is all up and let me talk and try to guide it, but you just kind of let me flow with it. And that I really appreciate that because I feel like that was almost therapeutic for me. I never told nobody about the first time I went in. This is the first time I've ever really told that story. So because I wasn't MC Shakie when it happened. So at the end of the day, you have definitely. I see a bright Miss Tiffany. I see a bright future for you in this world of content creation. So definitely kudos to you, and thank you so much for having me.
Well, thank you so much for that MC Shaky exclusive. We appreciate that. Well,
Thank you
you
so much.
go ahead and have a wonderful day. I want to go ahead and
Oh,
get this video edited and get it up for the people to see.
thank you
And
so much.
you will continue to work. You have a nice day.
You too, there.
Bye. All right, y'all. So as you can see, that is how MC Shaky got to prison doing that fraud, messing with them checks and those credit cards. So I hope that's something that you can stay away from. Even if you feel the pills piling up, you know now this is something you don't want to do because you can and will go to prison. All right. So until next time, thank you for watching and y'all stay out of prison. Have a good day, y'all.